and his topic is mobile artificial intelligence blockchain application. Mr. George, welcome and start.
Yes, good afternoon, Riyadh. My name is George Sebastio, CTO, chairman and advisor in many projects. It's a pleasure to be part of this event here in Riyadh with such a big audience. So today we're going to be as well as its disruptions associated with artificial intelligence, XR, blockchain, etc. So we're going to be spending the next 45 minutes together. So let me show you my screen. So hopefully you can see my screen very well. We will go and discuss all the key elements associated with the disruptions of mobile technology as they have happened in the last little while. As we know, disruption is a key element that is affecting every part of our lives. This disruption is really coming from the major changes in technology, and this disruption needs to be controlled, and it needs to be addressed by our businesses, whether you happen to be healthcare, banking and finance, or e-commerce. The key element that is actually driving this disruption is data. So where does the data come from? How do we transport this data? How we drive insights or useful information from this data? As you know, we always have to have a plan in our business, but sometimes our plans don't always go as planned. So that really means everybody's got a good plan until they get hit. This is the famous quote from Michael Tyson. So as you know, do you have an appropriate plan in your business? And are you ready for this mobile AI data disruption? Disruption is also about speed. It's about agility. So you need to be able to address this disruption in a very effective way so that your businesses can actually benefit from it. Why is this important? Let me show you a very short video clip on how quickly disruption happens. Many of you have probably saw the Rubik's Cube, and as you know, with the intelligence or artificial intelligence, we're actually able to solve the entire Rubik's Cube in about 3 seconds. So it's a combination of many technology working together. Of course, data, visualization, robotics, and basically 0.38 of a second, we are able to act. This is the kind of disruption that you should be very much fast and driven by agility. So all this AI data disruption and mobile is driven by many technologies combining together. So what are all these technologies and how we use them together in an effective way? On one side, we have 5G, which allows us to move data faster with low latency and have access to much more data. IoT, or Internet of Things, or Internet of Everything, that enables us to connect things that generate data in a very fast way. Mobile technology, which allows us to take our data everywhere. Artificial intelligence, which enables us to process that data and drive insights from it. Blockchain, which gives us the trust element, because without trust, we cannot conduct proper business or proper healthcare or proper banking transactions. And of course, we should always never forget the user. So we're driving a whole new generation of interfaces combined with augmented reality, virtual reality, and extended reality. Usually we refer to this as X. First, if you look at technology, we can this transformation today is actually 5. Enables us to have of what we over the air, low latency, high capacity of transmission of at the same time. So 5G is a key element of this mobile. The key element is IoT. In the IoT cloud, we are actually connecting all the devices that are part of our lives through an IP address, whether this happens to be in a smart home, maybe you have a smart fridge, a smart TV, smart appliances, maybe it's in your car, maybe it's in your travels, maybe it's in the elements that actually drive a smart city, like for example, smart traffic management, and many, many others. But today we'll explore just a few of these. So why is this so important in this digital transformation? One of the key elements of this today, IoT wearables that allow us to monitor our health, that allow us to monitor our physical activity. They generate massive amounts of data that helps you improve your health. Did you sleep well last night? All these devices enable these facilities to come through in a very flexible way. But even wearables are changing dramatically, where wearables in version 1.0 are noticeable and visible. Wearables 2.0, they become embedded in ambiguous, which really means that they're built into the clothes that we wear, they're built into the glasses that we have. So for example, you'll have smart glasses or mixed reality in a flexible way, but much more easy to use and much more present in every part of our lives. Other key elements of this transformation in digital reality of disruption is that GPS location is part of all of this. Because if you want to reach your customers in a more effective way, you want to know where they are, where they move about, and then you need to fuse this data that is being generated in an effective way. In the context of a smart home, you can have things like smart appliances that enable you to order when, for example, supplies are low or other. You can have in a smart home on ambiance or how you feel good with specific music or lights, so that you make a much more enjoyable environment in your everyday life. So IoT is really about changing the quality of lifestyle that you're going to have. One of the elements of any new digital revolution that is part is how you address the user. So we need to include the user in all this digital transformation. So the user interface plays an important role in the adoption of the technology. So the user interface needs to be friendly, needs to be present, and needs to be very easy to use. So when we talk about something called XR or extended reality, we have many elements that are part of it. Virtual reality that enables us to create a completely generated world, generated by computer and data. Augmented reality, in which we extend the reality that is part, and we get directions automatically displayed on the screen. Or mixed reality, where we actually combine both the virtual and the real world in a very effective way. And guess what? We can do this today through our mobile devices and the high availability of 5G data. But the key element is when we start using this in our everyday context, not just in the smart home, but in the car that we drive today. So the new cars of tomorrow will drive a much more effective and efficient user interface that will be automatically displayed on the dashboard or on the screens of that car, and thus enabling you to reach your destination faster and as well as in a more safe way. As we know, when we drive around Riyadh, it's always a little bit chaotic and there's a lot of traffic jams, so you'll be able to avoid a lot of these traffic jams. And you can combine both your car as well as with last mile and other technologies in the upcoming metro as well. Another major area of disruption is in healthcare. Health tech is being driven by all this new technology where medical staff or doctors will be able to perform operations or get the necessary data to serve their patients in a much more effective way. AR and VR is also playing an important role on how we enjoy our lives. So today, by using a combination of 5G, cloud computing, and our mobile devices, we can enjoy the same gaming experience that we have in the consoles that normally require much larger amounts of computing and 3D rendering. This rendering is now being done inside the cloud data centers and being automatically transported to our mobile devices. And obviously we have very popular games that are very popular also in Saudi Arabia and across the Middle East. Other areas that are being disrupted by these technologies is education. So if you happen to be educated today, whether it's in mathematics, science and technology, in this case is a biology class, you'll be able to have a 3D model of the information that you're studying. You'll be able to manipulate it, rotate it, display different interfaces across it, so the different levels of information you want to display just, and then get a much better appreciation of how the user interacts with modern mobile computer. Other areas that are being disrupted is the music industry. As we know, entertainment is becoming a big part of the life in Saudi Arabia with the advent of theaters, music shows, etc. So obviously mobile with extended reality will play also an important role in this new entertainment industry that is just flourishing and growing extremely rapidly. Other areas that are being extremely disrupted is e-commerce. Here is an example where we have visiting in a mall and we're using a combination of mixed reality to help us locate the services that are being provided in this mall. Another important technology that is part of this transformation is blockchain technology. As I explained before, all the disruption that we have today is being driven by data. So data has many challenges associated with them. One of them is definitely the trust element. So if you have an IoT device and this IoT device is generating lots of data, is this the real IoT device? Is it being properly identified and authenticated in our network? So blockchain to have much more trust in this data that is being generated by IoT devices. It can help us with authentication. It can help us with e-commerce as we transfer value or trust or currencies between the different parties that are involved in this exchange. Another important key element that blockchain brings to the whole equation is decentralization. So that means we no longer need a central authority to actually be able to coordinate all these activities. This decentralization is also comes with something called automation and smart contracts that enables us to automate our business rules in a much more effective way. But one key element about blockchain that makes it also quite unique is the factor known as immutability. What does immutability really mean? It really means that any information that gets stored on the blockchain will remain there forever. So that means we can ensure that the transactions that are performed can be trusted and can be audited in a flexible way. So let's look at how this technology looks like from the context of a mobile user. So today, in the context of blockchain, we now have things like mobile wallets. Mobile wallets through blockchain enable us to store traditional currencies like US dollars, euros, Saudi riyals, but it also enables us to store things like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or even the upcoming CBDC, which is country-specific cryptocurrencies. So all the countries in the region are exploring how to digitize or into their traditional currency. Saudi riyal, the electronic dirham, and a combination of those in a much more flexible way. Blockchain also enables us to create more trusted marketplaces. So if you want to go out and shop for services or products, like education services. You want to follow a specific class on maybe how to learn about blockchain, or you want to attend healthcare seminar or any other service. The marketplaces enable us to have access to these markets and to tie both the buyer and the seller in a more effective way. Other elements that make this quite unique is the capability of chatting or creating communities in this digital environment. And these digital communities can then exchange value. So they can exchange currencies, and you can create referrals, and you can basically create a much more growth within this environment. So blockchain also enables trusted mobile payments. Although mobile payments have been around for quite some time, I remember using things like M-Pesa in Africa as far back as almost 50. Today, blockchain enables us to have more trusted and more effective and more flexible mobile payments. A whole new generation of blockchain-enabled mobile payments are basically being introduced and distributed these in a flexible way. Other important elements is healthcare. As we know today, we live in a different world because of the pandemic. So you need to have a way to introduce better wellness into our environments. So blockchain and health tech, this new economy as well. Blockchain is also being used to create better trust in our tests that we're doing for COVID-19, to do contract tracing, and to also being able to have things like the electronic passport. So you want to know that the people that you meet or come to work or go travel abroad have passed the necessary tests or vaccines. So blockchain enables us to have a worldwide or a distributed trusted system that enables this to be successful. Another important element of blockchain is the integration of near-field communications, or basically having the capability of doing contactless payments. And these contactless payments enable us to combine traditional currencies with virtual currencies. In this case, we have a Bitcoin, but it also enables us to tokenize a whole new generation of assets. Example of this tokenization includes things like real estate or gold. So that means you could have some assets like real estate or gold in these digital cards and automatically transfer these assets via your mobile to another individual without any interaction or very simple interaction. More further than that, you could actually use this as a payment vehicles as well. So we are actually creating an hybrid world of payments that allows us to combine on one side traditional currencies, virtual currencies, as well as digital assets, and all coming together in an extremely efficient and effective way. But one key element that is changing all of the value that is extracted from this data is through artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has been around with us for probably close to 30 plus years, but only in the last 10 years it has evolved dramatically. And the reason of that is with the advent of more powerful computers, low cost of storage of data, and much higher performance data communications by either fiber or 5G. So this perfect storm allows us to now being able to introduce AI into the equation and automatically track and extract valuable information from this AI. Let me give you an example. One of the examples would be, we have a very small application that is about 30K that fits in your AI mobile and can automatically detect in a face recognition mode whether that person is wearing a mask or not. And this could automatically drive whether you should trust or be close to that person or not. So AI introduces a whole new generation of flexibility. So this new mobile AI allows us also to move where the data is being processed. Now, why is this being important? It means in our mobile that we use every day, we are actually introducing AI chips. And these AI chips enables us to automatically process the voice information, the imaging information. But by moving this processing, instead of being in the cloud data center, to actually be inside our mobile phone, we have better protection of privacy, but we also have a much instant response. So that means you can talk a command or a term to your mobile device, and your mobile device will be able to recognize this command or this term in something like 20 different languages, but automatically or almost automatically instant. So this introduces a whole new capacity of flexibility. If we look, for example, at social media and a very popular company like Facebook, we see all these technologies coming together. So for them, things like XR is important, AI is important, and high-speed connectivity being delivered by either fiber technology or 5G technology. And when you combine together, you achieve much better experience in the overall solution. Mobile is also driving big changes in the financial sector and the banking technology world. We sometimes refer to this as fintech or financial technologies. So AI is in a much more customized and in a much more flexible way. So we can introduce things like, for example, help desk bots that can recognize the commands or the requests coming from the user. They can talk to these bots for help desk either via call, so via your voice, via images, or via text. And this creates a much better user experience of mobile AI and fintech technology. These chatbots, of course, extend much beyond just fintech technologies. They can extend into e-commerce, healthcare, and others. So you can talk to your doctor and get advice through AI to process images of, for example, an injury or other. Or it can even help you, for example, in things like insurance to determine if you have an accident, what is the estimated amount to actually fix this car. And the AI is actually treating the images being generated or created from the accident. The same thing can also be done in the context of e-commerce. So 50% of buyers today are ready to buy directly from these robots or these chatbots. So for example, in the transportation industry, airlines or hotel accommodation, people will be able to buy directly from the bots the services they require without actually any human intervention. So a lot more flexibility, a lot more user friendliness. Obviously, this creates a much better world in which you can interact. But the really key element is when we start combining these technologies together. So if we're combining things like mixed reality and artificial intelligence together, we can drive a much better experience when we go to our traditional markets like Azizia or others in the region. So this really means you'll be able to understand the products that you're buying and automatically order extra quantities of these products or understand the features or the attributes or the qualities of these products through extended or mixed reality. As I mentioned, the value comes when we start combining these technologies together in an effective way. So far I've talked about the following key technologies: 5G, AI, blockchain, mobility. Now I'm also introducing robotics. Robots also will play an important element as we move forward. You saw earlier at the beginning of my presentation when a Rubik's Cube was solved in 0.38 of a second. And this is really a combination of all these technologies coming together in an effective way. So the most disruptive companies are the ones that are going to introduce these technologies in an effective way and combining them to actually serving their customers and customize the products they deliver in effective way. One example, if you're in the healthcare domain, and for example, you need to replace a tooth, image can be scanned of the space of the tooth, a tooth can be generated and 3D printed by a robot, and then can be installed by your dentist. So this creates, again, a completely different experience. On a completely different area, we can have, for example, in e-commerce, you want to buy a customized sneakers or trainers. As you know, fashion in the sneaker industry and customization has become extremely important to serve the customer well and the value to these customers. So you can go online, order the kind of sneaker that you want with the right kind of pressure points, the protection, the color, the schemes, the size, etc. And 3D printing enables you to deliver this sneaker almost instantaneously to the customer. So the factory is moving to the edge. It's moving much closer to where the customer is able to benefit from that. And all these technologies combined together are driving this technological or information data-driven disruption. Key elements to be successful in the implementation of these technologies. One is everything is about open, enable you to integrate these various technologies that I've mentioned so far in an effective way, whether it happens to be mobile device, tablets, smartphones, etc. It also enables you to connect to things like the connected car, connected appliance. So we have a combination of technologies and APIs that enables all of this to come together. So, example, data transmission is not just 5G. There's other wireless technologies that we're using in these APIs, things like new generations of Bluetooth, near field communications that play an important role in establishing the connection of the data between these different devices with high data rate transmission and enable the new AI applications to then drive insights from this data. So if you want to be successful in the utilization of these new technologies, you have to drive a complete and effective ecosystem. So this ecosystem means that you are not going to be creating all these technologies together. Maybe you bring the mobile, you get the 5G, you get the other APIs to process the artificial intelligence of the data, whether it happens to be character recognition, voice recognition, or video processing information, like the case of the example of detecting a mask in the face, as I mentioned before. Inside the data center, the data is less heavy, you can where the mobile is or edge-driven AI. In the last part, I wanted to show you just a quick video as well that shows on how quickly we can put these technologies together to simply create a new application. And I'll show you that in a few seconds. One of the important final elements as well is how you drive adoption or agility of the adoption to the user community. Here, the most important element is obviously the user interface. So this is where things like XR, AR, VR, MR, or augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality, play an extremely important element to reduce this adoption curve. So this enables the user technology in a much, all these elements, this disruption is important. The various systems we connect together, how we have we integrate via APIs, and how we actually create an effective ecosystem to actually drive the end-to-end solution that we're creating for our customers. So here I'm going to show you an example of how we took the artificial intelligence chip inside the mobile phone. We actually used this to drive a car, and we did this in a short period of time, 3 weeks. So let me show you this as an example.
Our smartphone is already outstanding at object recognition. So we thought, could the AI that's currently embedded in our phone pilot a car, recognize objects, instruct the car to avoid them, and could we do all of that in 5 weeks?
The first thing we had to do with the car was allow it to be robotically controlled. Then on top of that, we had to build a communication method that allows the phone to tell the car that is a specific object. So as an example, to understand the difference between a dog and a cat.
The next element that's more intelligent is then that information is used by the car. The fact that this is built into the phone means that that recognition happens in a heartbeat.
The challenge we set ourselves for this was to really see what's possible. It's much more than driving a car. It's actually intelligent object recognition and using that intelligence to make decisions. If we can succeed in this challenge, what else is possible?
So as we need to combine all these technologies together through agility to drive disruption in our new customers. As we know, Saudi Arabia is going to massive changes in this combination of technologies, 5G, mobile, augmented extended reality, blockchain, are going to play an extremely important role in this transformation. Obviously today, you will be spending the next few hours and the next 3 days going over the entire mobile show. So you'll get a lot more examples about these technologies and these disruptions. So I invite you to enjoy the show as well. I think we have maybe also a few minutes for questions, but I also invite you to follow me on social media, since we can continue the discussion there about the items that I discussed during this presentation. So on Twitter or on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to obviously assist you in this massive digital disruption caused by the combination of the technologies that I've referred so on. The Saudi Mobile Show, it is a pleasure to be with you here in Riyadh, and I hope you enjoy the other speakers as well. So we have maybe time for one or two quick questions. So if there's any questions from the audience, obviously we'll be able to entertain them as well. So thank you very much. There is no more questions, so I allow maybe this MC to come in and continue the sessions with the additional presenters as well.
It is a fruitful lecture, very beneficial for many people specialized in the field, and also for many other people who join us. They got complete idea through the journey that speak about mobile, 5G, blockchain applications. Do you have any idea or a brief idea about what is going to add when using 5G for people in general?
Okay, this is very important. 5G is an extremely important technology in this disruption. And the reason why 5G is important is for many elements. One, 5G behaves like fiber over the air. So that really means 5G enables us to transmit much larger quantities of data. That's the first value. The second value that 5G enables us is to introduce much lower latencies. What do I mean here by latencies? Latencies that are 1 second or less. So millisecond kind of latencies enable us to react and create a whole new generation of applications, things like smart car driving as an example. The third area that 5G enables extremely well is the capability of having millions of devices connected together. The traditional connectivity limits the number of connections to several hundred devices, but in 5G we'll have millions of devices cooperating together at the same time. The fourth area that 5G enables us to also introduce massive changes is in the area of what we call industrial IoT, or in the area of smart cities. So this enables us to create devices that use very little battery and communicate directly with the cellular towers. So in narrowband IoT of 5G, what we're able to do is to create a device that has a battery that lasts 4 or 5 years and is able to continuously transmit status or update information. So we can create applications like, for example, smart parking. So we put a small device on the ground that will stay there for 5 years, can detect whether a car is present or not via metal detection and via visual detection, and then report that status through the cellular tower to the AI or the user interface or the mobile app that will direct another parking person to that location in an effective way. So 5G is the glue that enables all these applications to come together.
My question, when we speak about 4G and now coming 5G, my question, after 5G, for example, is there anything coming in the future after 5G?
Of course there is, and the work is already being done on these technologies. So 5G is now live, but of course not in massive adoption. So 5G would say adoption maybe 10, 20%. 5G licenses are rolling out, 5G implementations, but we are already doing trials of 6G. So that means we are doing pilot implementations where we'll be able to introduce even higher speeds of transmission, lower latency, and new flexibility in computing models. Now, when can we expect to use maybe 6G? We're probably 4 or 5 years away from having commercial implementations, but definitely we will have proof of concepts and we'll have trials of this technology and to demonstrate how this technology could be used in real world factories, real world smart cities, port, industrial applications, etc. It is now 2:45, so I do believe that it is maybe time for the next speaker to come on.
Mr. George, from my team and me in Riyadh, thank you for your topic, mobile, artificial intelligence and blockchain application. Thank you indeed.
It is my pleasure to have been with you in Riyadh, and I look forward to a successful mobile show in Riyadh. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. George. See you.
Força saída. Bye-bye.